Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about National Human Rights Commission and recent news coming, that is the NHRC has lost the accreditation from a very important UN body. So what is the reason why NHRC has not been given the accreditation, and also what is going to be the impact of India's membership in United Nations Human Rights Council due to this effect, which what we are going to discuss in this particular video. So first of all, to give you the context of the issue, we talk about recently for the second year in a row, we can have an organization that is affiliated with UN Human Rights Office has deferred accreditation for India's human rights body, that is the National Human Rights Commission. Now, without accreditation from this body, that is called as GANHRI, that stands for Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institution, which is situated in the Geneva. NHRC cannot represent India, and also since it cannot obviously represent India, it cannot vote in UN Human Rights Council, which is a very important body working under the aegis of United Nations. Now, the delay in accreditation can also be cited to raise questions, and that raises question basically about the independence, competence and fairness of the National Human Rights Commission. Now, what is National Human Rights Commission? So we talk about briefly. It was established on 12 October 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, PHRA 1993, and later on major amendments were made in year 2006. Now, NHRC is an embodiment of India's concern for the promotion as well as protection of human rights. Now, what basically human right means? Now, this is something that also has been defined under the said Act under section 2(1)(d) of the PHRA, and this section states that human rights are such rights that relates to the life, liberty as well as equality and dignity of the individual, which is something that Constitution of India has recognized, and at the same time something that is embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by the courts in India. That is how we can understand the concept of human rights, and it is promotion and protection of this human right that is the sole purpose and duty of NHRC. Now, as we have discussed, it is the GANHRI which has not given accreditation to the NHRC of India. So, what is GANHRI? So, this is first of all an organization working under the aegis of United Nations, and it is headquartered in the Geneva, which is a city in the Switzerland. Now, overall, if we talk about this particular organization, the total number of members as of now stands at 120, and this 120 members are national human rights institutions of 120 different countries. Now, within this 120 countries, if you look here, it has classified the membership into two rankings. Some of the members are given A rank, while some of the members are given B rank. Now, 88 members have received A rank. The members who have received A rank, it basically signifies or basically tells us that these members are in full compliance with the Paris principles, and remaining 32 members who have received B rank, it says that they are in partial compliance of the Paris Agreement. Thus, GANHRI basically gives accreditation to any national human rights institutions on the basis of their compliance to the Paris principles or Paris Agreement. The main function of GANHRI is for reviewing as well as accrediting these institutions in compliance with the Paris principle, and this is something that does not happen annually. Rather, this exercise takes place after every 5 years. That means once accreditation has been achieved, this remains valid for 5 years, and again next review will be done later. Now, GANHRI acts through its subcommittee on accreditation, also known as SCA, and which categorizes member of NHRI to group A and B, as we have discussed before. Now, as we have discussed, the entire working of GANHRI is on the basis of Paris principles. So, let us try to understand what are Paris principles. Now, Paris principles, also referred as principles relating to the status of national human rights institutions or Paris principles in short, these were adapted by the United Nations General Assembly somewhere in the month of December 1993. Now, the main reasons behind setting of these principles were to set out a minimum standards that the national human rights institutions need to follow in order to be considered as credible, as well as in the order to ensure that its functioning operation is quite effective in nature. The Paris Principles thus lay down 6 main criteria that determines which NHRIs are functioning effectively and receive accreditation from GA NHRI. If any of these 6 criteria is not being fulfilled, then accreditation becomes difficult and NHRI cannot receive it. So, what are these 6 criteria? Let us try to understand this as well. So, as we can see from the list here, first of all, the first criteria that has been given is a broad mandate based on universal human rights standard. This is something that any national human rights institutions has to enforce. Second, it must be autonomous from the government. That means the representative of the government or a government official should not be working or should not be the member of national human rights institutions, because then we cannot say that the national human rights institutions and the government are independent from each other. Third, we are talking about independence. That means the members of national human rights institutions should not receive any kind of favor or any kind of favor from the government. Otherwise, the independence can be questioned. Fourth is it should reflect the principles of pluralism. Pluralism, in other way we can say, is also referring to the diversity. And here this Paris Principle states that not only pluralism in the functioning, but also in the constitution of national human rights institutions, this pluralism should be reflected. That means the member of institution should be coming from both genders, should be including the minority community as well. These are something that we mean by pluralism. Fifth is adequate resources should be provided by the government so that such institutions can work effectively and smoothly. And last, adequate power of investigation should be given to the national human rights institutions so that they can basically enforce the human rights and actually look at the cases which come towards it. Not only that, Paris recommendations or Paris principles also say that national human rights institutions should be equipped to receive complaints in cases, not only that is coming to it through the government and government channels, but also that is brought to it by the individuals themselves, by the third parties who might be representing the individuals, then NGOs, trade unions, or any other organizations which are representatives of professionals such as lawyers and journalists, because it is believed that it is the lawyers and journalists who basically have to face the brunt of the government if they go against the government, and that is where the human right basically is violated. Now, what is the impact of losing accreditation? So, as we have discussed, some of the members have A status. So, if a member having A status loses its accreditation, or if it has, suppose before it has A status, then it can participate in the UN Human Rights Council, its subsidiary bodies and some other UNGA bodies and mechanism. At the same time, it also becomes eligible for full membership of GA NHRI, which includes the right to vote and also hold governance positions. Now, if accreditation is not achieved and the member is not given A status or A rank, then obviously these are the things that a country and the organization will be losing out on. Second, if suppose accreditation is achieved and B status, B rank is given to the body, in that case it can participate in the GNHRI meetings but cannot vote or hold any governance positions. Unless India is accredited, we can say the NHRC cannot represent country at the UN Human Rights Council UNHRC, or even vote, or it cannot hold any governance position in these organizations. India's review has been deferred with no final decision that has been taken yet. Now, obviously the question that come into mind, that what might be the reason that India's, or basically we can say National Human Rights Commission of India's accreditation has been put on hold. So, for this particular year, what is the reason behind this decision? That has not been published because the committee is yet to release its report. But the last year report which has been released by the GNHRI shed some light on this. So, three major points have been highlighted by the last year's report. First it has claimed that the appointment procedure of National Human Rights Commission of India lacks the transparency. That means who is being appointed, how the person is being appointed, what is the due procedure that is being followed, that GNHRC is not very clear, and that is something that need to be looked after. Second, it also has alleged that there is a conflict of interest that is seen in the functioning or working of NHRC, which is largely a result of appointment of police that is done to oversee the investigation. So this is something that we have to understand. For example, if human right violation has been done in the police station itself, or the police is the perpetrator, basically we can say is accused, in that case again taking the help of police to oversee investigation, that is why it basically tells us, basically makes a situation of the conflict of interest. Third is in the constitution of the body, that means the membership of the organizations. So as of now, the NHRC, it says that it has no minority or female representation on the panel as per the last report. So these were the three main reasons why the last time when review happened, the accreditation was held, and this is something that can be true for this year as well. However, some more development has happened in this year. If you talk about the month of March 2024, total 9 human rights organizations, some of them well-known international organizations such as Amnesty International as well as HRW, that is Human Rights Watch, they jointly wrote to the GNHRI expressing concern about India's human rights institutions. And here, what are the concerns? Concerns were raised about the increasing restrictions on the civic space as well as discrimination against minorities in India ahead of the country's general elections. And this is something that has been further, we can say further supported by the UN Commissioner for Human Rights, that is Mr. Volker. He also said that these concerns were also raised by UN human rights experts who drew attention to attacks that is happening on minorities, media and civil society in India. So on these basis, basically it seems to, it basically seems that GNHRI has put a hold on accrediting the UN human right, basically we can say National Human Rights Commission of India, and final decision whatever happens, we have to wait and see that how this matter unfolds. That is all about this particular video. Thank you very much.